Rebellions are built on hope.
And welcome to another episode of Radio Rebellion Star Wars Podcast. I'm your host, Alberto Calderon, and on that side is our co-host, Oti1 Kenobi. Oti, happy Thanksgiving, happy belated Thanksgiving. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Yeah. I have an announcement to make.
Oh, let's go. Let's hear it.
This is my last podcast in my 20s.
Oh, wow.
I'm turning 30. I'm turning 30 tomorrow. And
happy birthday.
I'm very excited about it.
Oh, man, to be in my 30s again. Well, congratulations. Hope you have a good one, a nice one. You'll celebrate and have a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you. But yes, this is the last time you'll see me in this phase.
Next week, it's like Doctor Who. You're just gonna regenerate into something new by tomorrow.
Precisely.
All right, actually, we'll talk about a little bit Doctor Who maybe at the end if we have time. We'll have time. This is gonna be a short show, I think, because last week we're gonna take a break. There's no Star Wars news, nothing official. We're not gonna be rushing any shows. Here you go, official news, or at least some comments, I should say. So we're gonna talk a little bit today, but it'll be a short show.
I'll say it's news. It feels like news.
It is news.
It's something.
It's something more than we've got in the past 4 months. All right, so everyone watching out there today, thanks for joining us. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. Comment down below if you're watching this later on the recap, and give us a thumbs up whenever you get a chance and when you listen to this on the other podcast. If you do, thank you, and also give us a rating and review, and follow us over there so you don't miss any new episodes. Hopefully every Saturday, but who knows? We'll see. Vacations are coming, holidays are coming, people are going on trips. We'll see when we come.
Isn't that weird time of the year?
Very weird. I'm going to be flying actually next Sunday, not tomorrow, next week. I'm flying to San Antonio for a business thing, a work conference for 3 days. I'll be in Texas for 3 days.
Fun.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm taking my little droid with me. I'll do updates with him so people can know where I am. Whatever that felt. All right, Oti. Let's go ahead. If you guys are ready, I'm not ready. Let's talk Star Wars and Star Wars news.
Star Wars news.
All right. Actually, who's there? I see there's a comment in the chat.
Brennan is in the chat. Hey, Brennan. What up?
Hey, Brennan. Thanks. Brennan sent us a comment that as we go through today, there'll be a few rebel thoughts that will jump in through our talk, but let's get on it. And Oti, like I mentioned, Star Wars news there's been no news. We talked about this last week. There's nothing going on, but we finally got something. It's our friend, everyone's favorite friend, Dave Filoni. Has a new role at Lucasfilm. He'll be working more closely and directly with Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy and with veteran producer. What?
Oh. Buck is here on time.
Oh, Buck. Hey, Buck. How you doing? It's been a while. Well,
so you were saying, sorry, it was a big moment.
Threw me out. Yeah, when Buck comes in, we gotta take a moment. So Dave Filoni got promoted to Chief Creative Officer. He's going to be working more closely with Kathleen Kennedy. Anything has to do with Star Wars, working with Carrie Beck, who also got a promotion. She's a veteran producer. Now she's going to be Executive Vice President of Live Action Development. She was a producer on a bunch of the animated shows, Ahsoka, and a couple of other live actions. So some important people in the Lucasfilm family got a big promotion. And at first I was like, okay, cool. I thought Filoni was already something like this. He was in that kind of category, but I guess not, or at least not officially. But before we go into some of the comments that Filoni made, I believe there was an interview that he did with Vanity Fair talking about Ahsoka and a bunch of other stuff. When you saw this news, because it came out of nowhere, like always on a Tuesday afternoon, it just dropped. Were you excited when you heard this? Filoni now is going to be very involved in anything Star Wars moving forward.
I'm not really sure what I felt. Like, okay. I felt At first I felt it was kind of like clickbait things going on because
Yeah.
it's been so long since anything comes out. So I didn't really like focus on it, but like yeah, it was a thing, and of course like CCO, that sounds like
Hmm.
official. So I think like I haven't really changed my mind on it so much, so I was like excited about it. Um, I know we'll get into like everything, but I think it's good that they've assigned a person to
Yes.
oversee the vision, like
Hmm.
and maybe cut out the maybe like somehow help with all the disruption that's been going on throughout the years, like maybe avoid the situations where halfway through pre-development or pre-production or whatever you suddenly go like this doesn't really work with anything, so we're gonna stop it, or maybe even halfway through production and kick out the creators and bring in
Yeah.
new ones. So hopefully that's where this is really gonna help.
Yeah. All right. Let me read real quick what he said. One of his comments was, "Now I'm what's called Chief Creative Officer of Lucasfilm. Filoni does Vanity Fair, which places him into the development process much earlier and in a much more expansive capacity than his previous advisory duties." He goes on to say, "In the past, in a lot of projects, I would be brought into it. I will see it after it had already developed a good ways." To go to what you just said, like he was brought in maybe halfway or whenever, and he's might have gone again, just speculation. This doesn't match with what's come before, what's coming after. So if you heard me talk, I'm not the biggest Filoni fan. I like what he's done, but I don't worship at his altar. But I've always said that if there's someone inside Lucasfilm or Star Wars that knows how to connect all the dots and what George Lucas wanted to do, or some of his mentality, Filoni was the guy. And even though I'm not his most ardent fan, I think this role fits him perfectly. And I'm very excited for what he might bring to this. Like you said, it's someone to be there at the beginning. Hey, Dave, these are the someone's trying or wants to make this type of movie, or this is the story that someone wants to tell. And he can start kind of piecing those dots and say, okay, this works with this story here, with this character over there. Hey, actually, we're building something similar, so let's do this or that. So I think this works great for what his strength is inside Lucasfilm and what he brings to the stories that are done there. I may not be the most ardent fan again when it comes to him writing all these stories. I might not like all the stories that he focuses on, but in being that overall, like you said, this guiding light to help people. And Kathleen Kennedy, you're a great producer. You don't need to be involved in all these creative things that are what a lot of the complaints are. And I think this gives her time to just go do her own stuff, like produce and do what producers do, and leave Filoni as a great creative mind to be in charge of that beginning creative process. So I think it's a great step for Star Wars going forward. Let me just read. I think it's in this other comment. I just hit something else. He goes. He says, "I'm not telling people what to do, but I do feel like I'm trying to help them tell the best story that they want to tell." And what I've heard a lot of the complaints or people that are against this cannot believe that he's now going to be involved in writing, directing, and producing everything. Like,
Mhm.
no, it's take a step back. Just he's not going to do all that. So I'm very happy for this.
Okay, so let's dissect this. So I agree. Like at first, I had this thought, like it was like very cynical of me to be like, oh, so now everything's gonna be Mandoverse. But like that's not really true. I
Yeah.
100% agree with you. I don't think he's gonna be there every day with the writers. Like, okay, let me see. No, change this, change this, change this, change this. Let's see how we fit Ahsoka into this. Let's no take that out. I
Yeah.
don't like that. I don't think that's his role. That's like too big a role to have.
Mhm.
I think it's more to sit down with these creators, whatever they are, um, and help them iron out their vision in the
Sure.
context of
Mhm.
Star Wars, like, and maybe be like, when you sit down with Lord and Miller, instead of being like, no, they are hard directors, like sitting
Yeah.
down with them, what do you see,
Mhm.
so Han Solo going through? What do you see this movie tying into, if anything?
Yeah.
Um, and maybe that's when they go like, no, we imagine this kind of like a comedy, body cop, something, and then Dave's like, but that's not really like
Yeah.
what we want to do with this
Mhm.
franchise, and maybe avoid those situations.
Yeah, exactly.
And again, like I really believe that Mando is still John Favreau's story, and Dave is just there to make it work in a larger context.
Yeah.
Like I don't think if Dave wasn't there, we would have all these connections to Clone Wars and Rebels that
Oh,
we
of
got
course.
with Mandalorian. Like that's because he was him, and he was there thinking like, oh, we could do this. This could tie into this other story, and I think that's maybe what he's gonna bring to the table.
I wonder if when John Watts came with his idea for Skeleton Crew, and Filoni got, well, actually, this kind of fits with this Mando storyline that we're doing, and then mesh that together. And I think if that's the way that worked, and then again, we know nothing about Skeleton Crew, it might suck or it might be the greatest thing. But coming that, if that creator comes, and I think Carrie Beck is going to be in charge of trying to find all these different voices. Hey, we have this story that so and so wants to tell, and then Filoni is able to say, okay, so this meshes with this that we're doing, or like you just say, okay, what's your plan, and then we can see if it fits the overall narrative. So I think that is a great way to go forward with Star Wars, especially with, even though I love the sequel trilogy, I agree with some of the criticism that it wasn't planned out as a lot of other things. Having someone there to help build those steps by step, I think is going to be a huge positive going forward. The last thing I want to, yeah,
Just randomly, like thinking, maybe in that situation you have Dave sitting with JJ and JJ being like, this is what I see Ray's arc being, and Snoke's arc, and Kylo, and Luke, whatever. And then when Ryan comes along,
yeah,
we don't need to have that conversation between Ryan and JJ. And Dave sits with Ryan. He's like, hey, what story do you want to tell? Oh, this is the story. Okay, this is what I talked with JJ. This is what does any of this mesh with what you're the story you're telling? And maybe he can go, hey, maybe I could I really hadn't thought of this. Like, things like that. Like, again, I don't think he's there to iron out every detail of every script and how it. I think it's more like a broad vision of everything.
Yeah. So the last thing I have here that he mentions, when we're planning the future of what we're doing now, I'm involved at the inception phase, which is all these kind of little different examples we've been given. I think, again, not the biggest fan of Filoni in general. Sorry. I like Filoni, but I'm not like, oh, where's our savior? But I think this is a very positive move after we get Andor Season 2, Acolyte, Skeleton Crew, and the Mando movies, and the 3 movies that are already planned. I'm sure he'll have some hand in those. Then we can see what he does and where Star Wars goes forward. I don't remember who it was. I saw someone on Twitter post, oh, Filoni now has the job that people think Pablo Hidalgo has. That's great. Exactly.
I mean, he actually finally has a job that Kevin Feige has at Marvel.
Yeah.
Like, if it's finally like the same position, so we can find like after, I don't know, 7 years of people talking of him in that way, he finally has a job.
Yeah. All right. What are some of the comments out there?
Oh yeah,
from people?
There's a bunch of comments. Give me 1 sec. Okay, so Buck has mixed feelings.
Okay.
So he's saying that he'll try to keep Tannen tight mostly. Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's kind of like George in that aspect. Like, it's kind of until it's not, and we'll figure it out there. He's saying except no green lightsabers. We'll see. I'll get mad if no more green lightsabers. And no more queer characters after the Acolyte. Okay, so that's like a very important point, because Dave has not been the biggest champion of these voices in the past. I don't really think he's like a bigot or anything. He's just like kind of this guy who's like really not thinking about it, and maybe like grossly oblivious to it or something. But that's why it's important to have those voices in the room.
So that's where I hope that what we're saying, that he's involved. Hey Dale, thanks for joining us. That he's not gonna be that tight in, if a creator comes and says, hey, this is the story I'm going to tell, this is my characters, and one of them is a queer character, that Filoni is not. Oh no, well, actually, no, because there's a
if that's
certain
how,
fans that don't like it, so no, just change it to a regular
if that's
heterosexual.
what's if that's what's happening, I really, really, really hope we find out, because that would be like a game changer to everything.
Yeah. So hopefully not, especially after an episode like Doctor Who had today.
Oh,
You,
interesting.
you can't do that in Star Wars. We need to evolve. So
Woke
hopefully,
Who, I heard.
yeah. All right, so let's jump real quick before we go to our next story or some of the comments. We'll just keep talking about this Filoni thing. I kind of posted it out there for people to just let me know what their thoughts were on this announcement. And Peter Source said it's not really as important as people think in the slightest. And I kind of understand what he's saying because Filoni is involved in a lot of it. Hopefully, it's like we say, he's not going to be changing a lot of the things that the new voices out there cannot bring to the table, but it's hard to tell at this moment, and we won't know for I don't know how many years with everything that's already set up. I don't know. So hopefully, I think it's important, but maybe not a game changer. But I don't know. Do you think it's important, or we're just making too much out of it?
No, I really think it's important. I don't think we'll see the effects of this for a while, and I heard Alex Stamen talk about this, and I 100% agree. Like, this is the kind of thing, if we never found out about it, we would never be like, Dave has his hands all over this.
Yeah.
So,
Yes, every
but
time we see someone from Rebels or Clone Wars, everyone's going, "Oh, that's Dave. He put his hand on it. It wasn't."
you know, if they get me, who's like a big Sabine fan, like, hey, I want to drop Sabine in here, like, there you go, that's
I
Dave.
told you, freaking Dave.
So, maybe we'll now get like Plo Koon stories, like,
Oh man.
but yeah, I don't think we'll see the effects. I think maybe we'll be like, oh, this is running so smoothly, like we haven't heard of a mess up in a while or something.
Yeah, I don't know what I posted or someone replied to something like, wasn't it better when we didn't even know any of this behind this stuff? Like, we all love watching that behind the scenes of how movies were made, but all this corporate stuff, we didn't care about this as kids. And it doesn't matter. Just give me the product, right? Give me the movie and the TV show.
It's funny, like, thinking of the Fandom Menace group, how they've always said they would fire Kathy and give Dave full control, and now they gave Dave full control, but they didn't have to fire Kathy. I wonder why. I wonder how that works.
And even let's say, because she's been in this role now.
Oh, but by the way, the next thing we'll hear is like, they are not giving him full control. There's a civil war going on.
It'll be when something sucks. Let's say, because a lot of people
this was Kathy.
She changed it. This wasn't his plan. There's no winning. All right, let's just move on. So Saturday, AM0 at Stay Classy SDCC. His lineage and rightful heir apparent. It is unavoidable. Something kind of mentioned this. We've been expecting this, so a lot of people have been expecting and asking for Filoni to have a bigger voice in the Star Wars stories. He's always been. We all know he was brought up by George Lucas. He knows all the Clone Wars stuff. The Rebels had his hand in Bad Batch and all the other animation, Resistance, just as an executive producer. It's kind of unavoidable. It's okay. I'm glad that it happened for him. My friend Alan.
Just quickly, like, who else was it gonna be? Like, let's be very serious about this. Who else was it gonna be?
Maybe this is something that should have happened years ago, right? Kind of mentioned that Kathy Kennedy is a great producer, but maybe she shouldn't be as involved in the creative. And we don't know how involved she was actually making all these decisions. I don't
think she was that involved in the creative side, but I just think, like, it's the very Hollywood political game. Like, well, we can't give him full control. He just did like an animated show.
Sure.
Like, come on. Yeah, he ate lunch with George, but come on.
He got his coffee, and he mentions it. He had to get his hands wet directing and writing live action before he could move. So even and he's mentioned this for years, that Kathleen Kennedy has slowly been bringing him up and hey, meet Ryan Johnson. Go, you'll get an episode. So there is a plan. We just want it now, I guess.
I mean, again, to that point, he was really just the animation guy.
Mm-hmm.
They were suddenly going to be like, here, run a company, a $4 billion company, run it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, really? So yeah, I don't know. Like, but again, it had to be him. Like, there's
Mm-hmm.
really, like, yes, you can say Tony Gilroy, yeah, whatever. Like, it was never gonna be him.
What I want to do a quick Tony Gilroy thing in a minute, but I love that he got this because a lot of people wanted Kathy Kennedy fired and him to be the president of Lucasfilm. Like,
I don't
no.
think he wants to be the president of like.
And then I
That
will
job,
have a problem with that's not your job. You don't know anything about it.
I don't think he wants that job. Like, I saw this, like, this is a building block to
No.
like, that job mainly consists on going to Bob Iger's office and screaming at him or getting screamed at by him.
Yeah.
So I don't think he wants that.
Yeah,
So,
screaming for more money and then getting yelled at when you didn't make enough money back.
I don't really think Kathleen Kennedy has the time to be on set every day, like, honestly.
Yeah.
And if she is, God bless her, because, like, again, there's a lot to Lucasfilm, more than movies. It's everything. It's the video games. It's the books.
Yeah.
It's everything.
And it's not just Star Wars. I know it has a name. There's a lot of other stuff. But I've seen people saying, "Oh, now Andor's gonna be in trouble because he's gonna meddle." Do you think Tony Gilroy gives 3 Fs about Dave Filoni? I love him, but he's not. Yeah, whatever. I'll call you back. No, I'm doing my stuff.
I'm now having this mental image of Dave being like, "Oh, I want to discuss Canary with you," and Gilroy's like, I don't even know what Canary is anymore.
Oh my god.
And the other funny thing I've seen is, like, well, he now can't direct his movie because it's like James Gunn just got made CEO. That's Kathy's job. Like, that's the one that gets screamed at by someone else. And he's directing Superman, like, and writing it. So, like, he can do whatever he wants.
He can. Yeah. All right. So Alan, our friend Alan, who actually I forgot to tell you. Alan.
I think Buck agrees with me. Like, if not
my question is, if not Dave, then who could do this job exactly? Yeah.
Alan, sorry.
So Alan reached out the other day saying, "Hey, when you guys talk about Eye of Darkness, let me know. He wants to join." So we'll have Alan here as our guest to discuss the Eye of Darkness. He better bring his Stellan Geo's lightsaber.
Oh, please. And his cats.
Yeah, all these cats will be everywhere. And I think he's at Disney right now because he's always there.
He's always at Disney.
I need that lifestyle. All right, so Alan at Alan Martin writes, hoping Filoni will bring back some of the Luminous authors to bring some High Republic Jedi into animation, maybe the next season of Tales of the Jedi. And this is where it kind of, animation, Filoni, he'll be there. And it's, some of those Jedis have already jumped. Sorry, some of those characters have already jumped to the High Republic show. I got Young Jedi Adventures. But yeah, going to Tales of the Jedi is something a lot of people have hoped for. It would be great if we get, like you mentioned last week, maybe get that young Stellan, Avar, and
I got like a story of
yeah, give me one for Tales of the Jedi. Give me 3 episodes of them, one for each. That'll be freaking awesome.
You know what? That's actually like one of the great things about Dave, like, getting this job. Like, hopefully now we get more animation things. Like, we're due for something. Like, Bad Batch is coming to an end. So
yeah, I read a report. Official! All the shows are greenlit or official for 2024, which we haven't really, just from our website. But they put Bad Batch already, season 3 next year. You think it's coming out? Didn't it come out this year? You think 2024 we might just get it? So I think it's too soon, but maybe we'll wait to the end.
I mean, maybe they like made it, like, maybe they never stopped working on it. So maybe it's gonna be ready for next year. Like, was it this year?
I don't know. I
think it was last year. I think it was. Did it
maybe because this year was Mando and Ahsoka, and then Visions. So maybe
it was last year. It was
okay. All right. And then our friend Brennan wrote, I just put a little bit there because he wrote a long one. He said, a lot of fans are panicking and judging the art before they've seen it, as they often do. Too many people judge Star Wars by what's going on behind the scenes or what they think is going on behind the scenes. That kind of thinking sunk the sequel trilogy for some. I'll let you start, Otto. This is basically what we've been talking about for a lot of it today, right? It's like we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Just wait and see what happens.
I I saw you tweet something. How was our friend from the dark side of the force handling this news?
I don't know.
Did you tweet about him?
No, not today. Or
no, not today. Like a couple of days. I think when the news broke.
No, maybe I retweeted something, but I don't remember tweeting like his reaction. I haven't seen his reaction.
Oh, you haven't seen it? Oh,
No.
I thought you tweeted out that you had seen something. Okay,
no.
I just don't. I told you I'm trying not to pay a lot of attention to the discourse. So I don't really know how people are taking the news. Like, so I really haven't seen any fighting or screaming or crying about it.
It's what I mentioned before. I just heard people saying, "Oh, now he's going to be involved in everything. Ahsoka's going to be in everything." Freaking
how's that thing?
It's like even I was watching The Big Thing with Harloff, and he has his guests doing his stuff, and it's like a 30-minute thing on this. And a lot of the complaints were people, same things. Oh, he's gonna have his hand in everything, and he doesn't like Andor because he's never talked about Andor, so he hates Andor. Everything's gonna be the writing of Ahsoka. We're not getting anything as good as Andor again. Blah blah blah. Like he's not writing, directing everything. And come on, and again, he's not gonna have his hand on season 2 of Andor. That's almost already done. Potato camera trailers out there today. It's like, forget about it. It's like, chill.
Yeah, whatever.
All right, excellent. Whatever, just leave it there. All right, so our second bit of news, unless there's something else on the chat for the Filoni thing before we move on.
Dale is saying something that I'm not really understanding, so that's why I haven't showed it. He's talking about something about Rey and Ben and Anakin training them. I'm not really getting it. Sorry.
I'm just gonna highlight this one. This one makes sense from Dale. I don't think Dave will be the one to tell people that ideas don't work, but he'll steer them in a way that makes them work. Exactly. Yes. And we'll leave that for Dale today. All right, so our second news topic, talking about Rey, is Daisy Ridley was out there. I think she was talking to Collider. She has a new movie coming out, and she wasn't
this an Arsu article?
A what article?
An article from Arsu.
I think she wrote it.
Yeah.
Or Maggie, but they didn't do that interview. I think Steve Weintraub at Collider were the one interviewing.
But still, I think it was Arsu's.
Oh yeah, because there's a big Raylo part at the end, and of course they're involved in everything. Right? I love how out there those two are right now. We need them back on the show soon. But Daisy Ridley,
they're not gonna come here. Right? They're beyond us. Yes, it was Arsu.
All right, we'll have them at some point, hopefully. So she knows this story, but hasn't read the script. But said it's really cool and not what she expected, and knows the story about one movie, but doesn't know if it will be multiple. So it's a very cool script, not what we expected, or a cool story. She hasn't read the script yet. Cannot tease that she's read one, but might be more than one. We're gonna be very excited for it. It's there. Rey's coming back. For the people that keep saying that these movies are never going to happen, I'm excited to hear it from Daisy Ridley. She's excited for the movie. Again, we know nothing, but it's exciting to have this out there.
I loved reading that article because I could hear her voice like through what she apparently said. And she sounds excited. She sounds like I felt like I believed everything she said because it just felt genuine. It felt like Daisy Ridley being excited about new Star Wars. So yeah, like I freaking love that character. and I can't wait to see her again. I want to know what the story is, and I love how specific she shows her words, because she's saying, like, there's a story for one, maybe more, but there are no plans. But if you go see it, maybe we will. So yeah, exciting.
And I love that she said, "Oh yeah, because Kathleen Kennedy invited me for lunch a few years ago. It was just lunch." And then she told me, "We talked about this here 2 years ago. Of course, this is to make Star Wars." And no,
I
just
remember,
lunch.
like, you flew all the way from London to San Francisco for lunch.
Yeah, no, it's a Star Wars movie was coming.
So okay, so she admitted that lunch was a Star Wars thing.
So she said that when she was invited for lunch, she thought it was just to catch up, and that's when Kathleen Kennedy brought it up. But she didn't know. It's like,
we need
really,
you.
You're flying how many hours just to?
I love it, because if it was 2 years ago, that means it was 1 year after Rise of Skywalker. So literally, like, the year after that movie, Kathy's like, "Hey, we want to make more."
Yeah. Oh, I'm very excited for that. What that movie is going to be.
But again, if you really think about it, like, that movie's gonna come out like earliest 6 years after Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
So it all began like a year afterwards. So if we had known like a year afterwards, like, oh, they're making the new one, we'd be like, what? So soon? No, wait a couple of years. Like, no, here it is, 6 years in between.
It's like the Kenobi show, right? When Ewan McGregor finally said it. It's like, I've been keeping the secret for 4 years. These things take time. We don't hear about it until it's ready to be announced.
I started podcasting in 2018, early 2018. And one of the first things I remember talking about, like literally first 3 episodes or something, was like, we all know there's a Kenobi movie coming out. Like, we all know this. Everyone knows this. And it took like forever for that announcement.
Oh man. All right. So very excited to finally get some official Star Wars news to talk about. Hopefully we get something before next week. If not,
it's cool stuff to discuss. Like,
yeah, exactly. All right. Hopefully soon we'll also get something for Skeleton Crew and/or season 2. Hopefully we'll start getting some trailers out there, some more information coming soon.
Yep.
All right, so we got a few minutes. Like we said, it's going to be a short show, which I don't mind when there's just a couple of news stories. I think this is a good way to do our show going forward. But let's go, because there's something dropped today and we've been waiting for a long time. So let's go to not
we is a lot of people.
I've been talking about it for a long time, but let's go to A World Between Fandoms. All right, Oti, it's here. Finally, after like 2 or 3 years without Doctor Who, Jodie Whittaker came as the 13th Doctor, I believe. Got regenerated to David Tennant. Everyone freaked out because it's supposed to be Nguti. He's coming in a couple of episodes, but the new Doctor Who special is going to be 3 episodes. The first one dropped today. They're going to be shown at BBC and also Disney Plus at the same time. I'm going to rage about or gush about it in a few minutes, but I don't know, for a year or 2 years here, we make fun. You've tried to get into Doctor Who like 3 or 4 times. Unfortunately, said it should be something that you enjoy, but you haven't been able to get into it. But your co-host Tony is also into it. You guys are going to discuss it on your own podcast over there. But you say you were going to watch these 3 episodes. So as someone that has tried to get into Doctor Who, now, but you know the overall idea of it. You don't need to know everything. What were your thoughts coming into today watching this episode?
Okay, where do I start? So as you mentioned, I really have in the past tried to watch Doctor Who. I've tried different ways. It's not really something up my alley, aside from one episode I really loved, and it's really a self-contained episode. So as you mentioned, Tony is a huge Doctor Who fan, and I know he was very excited for this. And on my podcast, we discussed House of the Dragons, but Tony was not a Thrones fan. So as a reward for him for watching it for me, I said I'll watch the three specials, and if I like it, I'll keep watching it with you, and we'll talk about it. But if I don't, that's it. Like, that's my last try.
You can't keep going
Doctor Who. Like, So and he even was like, "Hey, you can watch the first one. If you don't like it, we don't have to talk about it." I was like, "No, I'm gonna watch the
Yeah,
3 episodes. I'm gonna do
just three.
it." So I clicked play. It took like a little bit getting used to. I was like, "This is like so weird." Like the big alien people,
Yeah,
and and again, the episode starts with a recap of what happened, which was pretty useful. And
yeah,
again, since I have friends who like Doctor Who, I've heard these things before. Like I had an idea of what I was watching. I really wasn't like all knowing. Tony reminded me that Wilf is the guy from the
yeah.
memes, so apparently that's an emotional story, and I just see it as a joke.
Oh, when his name was mentioned, and the actor died last year, I think. So it's gonna be even more emotional when he shows up at some point in this next two.
They even did a funny joke with it. Like,
Oh yeah, it
he's
was
no
good.
longer with us. Like, oh no, he's at home.
Oh, played.
So with all of that said, I have to admit that I really liked what I
All
saw.
right, great.
I really liked it. I bet you can guess what was the thing that made me go like, I'm interested, because it was ridiculous.
There were a few things that were ridiculous. So I don't know which one. Oh, let me not the weird aliens. That's not gonna be. Uh, what was so ridiculous? I don't know. Some of the jokes were. I don't know. Everything worked
It
for me.
was
But
when this was the moment, but the whole meep thing, I was like entranced with what
yeah,
was going on.
yeah.
Like hail to the meep, like
It went pretty because I'm watching now. So my wife doesn't like Doctor Who. She's glad as I'm watching, she just walks by and she's like, "This is too weird, all these aliens." So when Meep shows up, she's like, "Oh, they're finally doing a cute alien." And then 20 minutes later, she's like, "Oh, they're back." Now he's just like, "Sorry, sorry, this is
but
Doctor Who."
I that's like the kind of thing I love when it happens in Star Wars. It mostly
Yeah.
happens in animation, but I think
Mhm.
that's like the kind of thing that George Lucas would be like, let's do that. But dude, it was the moment when David Tennant like stops the car, walks out with Maeve, and starts a trial,
I
and
put the
and,
wig on.
and the weird aliens are like, "Yes, no, I am Sergeant this, and we're looking because he's a terrible monster, and we're
Yeah.
very afraid of him." Like, what is happening?
Yeah,
and
the
then
shadow proclamation. You gotta,
and then
yeah.
he's like, "Meep, what's your point of view?" And maybe he was like, screw
Uh,
it." And I was like, "What?"
It was because I saw when they're driving off, and I forgot the name of the weird aliens. They shoot at the car, and I detect, and like nothing is happening. I'm like, okay, whatever, it's Doctor Who, and that's the first thing I mentioned. Well, you notice that nothing happened to the vehicle, this and that, and it's very interesting when you check the pulse on the soldier. So it's very Doctor Who that in this very chaotic scene, let's just stop and have a trial with a weird British wig on. But I love, like you said, the little introduction at the beginning, even though I've watched like 5 episodes of the two of them just to get ready for this one. So I kind of knew what like that little recap. I love they went right into it. We didn't have to go through that regeneration at the end to kind of know what happened. It kind of was explained as it went along. I'm extremely excited for the next two because David Tennant or this doctor still doesn't know why he has this face, why he was chosen back. Something is coming. Um, him and Catherine Tate have great back and forth since 15 years ago. Like they said the last time that they played those characters, to still be at that level coming on was great. I love the introduction that they did where he's just taking the boxes stuff. And you cannot expect it to be her, but it's a fun reveal. When he hears the name Rose and he just freezes for a minute,
What does
and we know
Rose
that's
mean?
someone else. I'm like, oh, I
What
feel
does
it
Rose
for
mean?
him.
What does Rose mean?
Oh, I'm just gonna slap. So in the 2 seasons, when Doctor Who returns with Eccleston, so the companion, her name is Rose. So when Eccleston leaves and then David Tennant starts as the Doctor, it's the two of them. So this Doctor and
Oh,
Rose
so
is the companion. It's
okay.
I forgot her name. This blonde actress. Just forgot her name. And that season that the two of them are together, it's very emotional season. Right, the end. I mean, you don't care. I'm just going to spoil it. So she gets sent to another dimension, basically, to a parallel universe. Right as she's confesses her love to him. Like, I love you. And as soon as he's about to say it, the connection between both universes cuts off. So he never has that goodbye with her.
Oh wait, so Rose is Billy
Billy
Piper.
Piper, yes.
Oh, I
Thank you,
love Billy
Buck.
Piper.
So, and of course, in those episodes with Catherine Tate in season 5, I think it is, or season 4, she shows up, and they have a couple. They have a good reunion, and there's another. Tennant's doctor gets divided into two doctors, so she's able to go to the other parallel universe with a version of him. But still, there's something there. So every
Okay,
time the name Rose shows up, he has that
it's
connection to
important. It's
Doctor.
important.
Yes.
Okay.
Same with Wilf. It's like that Wilf reunion is gonna break everyone.
So Wilf is gonna be in the show.
Yes, because I saw they released a table read that they did from the Doctor Who Twitter account. They released a big table read, and he was there.
Oh my god.
And so he's gonna show up at some point, and
So,
it's gonna kill us. But I
so
love, yeah,
and him and David Tennant were like best friends or something.
in the show, you mean?
Yeah.
So Wilf was someone that believed that something was out there. He has this big telescope, always looking at the sky. So when he finally meets the Doctor, he's like, "Oh, see, I'm not crazy. There's aliens, all this," and he's very attached to Donna Noble, to Catherine Tate's character, is her granddad, and they're very close, almost as best friends. Like he said, him and Donna Noble were best friends. They had that type of relation. It wasn't nothing romantic like it's been for some other doctors. So it was a best friend kind of thing. But that relationship with Wilf was just almost it. When second to last episode with Tennant, when he regenerates, he has to save or sacrifice himself for Will. I'm not gonna waste time just explaining everything, but they have a conversation when Tennant's doctor kind of say, "Hey, I would have been proud if you were my father." So it's that type of father-son relationship. And when he wipes Donna's mind, it's kind of telling Wilf why and why he can't tell her everything. And there's a running gag with her of why she's always misses the big everything that happens, she always misses it. Every time an alien comes, she misses it. So that's a running gag at the beginning when the starship crashes. She's like, "Oh no, there's nothing happened. I missed it again." So that's been a running gag for years. But yeah, that's when he had to promise, or Wilf had to promise not to remind her of the Doctor and all the adventures they had. It's something that Will had to carry for years. So it's going to be very interesting when they're able to meet again.
Okay.
But yeah, the meep was, I love that turn because in all the promotions, the meep is so cute. So I love that turn. It was very Doctor Who. I love the Sonic Screwdriver has some new abilities now to be able to do that little screen out of nowhere. But I don't know. It's everything in it felt extremely Doctor Who, which is always one of those things that you're not too sure about if it's gonna hit the mark. But to me, it felt like it kind of kept pace with those other series. And like we mentioned before, talking about what Buck said, that maybe Star Wars and Filoni is missing, it's this representation for LGBTQ, trans people, non-binary, and you see it there with Donna's daughter. And it's very, people might say it's on the nose, but it's there. So there's no confusion where Doctor Who and the fandom and the creators stand in terms of, no, it's important, it matters. And like Star Trek, Doctor Who's been at the forefront in this, and David Tennant, if you follow him, he's always carries his pin out there. So I love that it's there. If people want to complain, that's on them. But to me, it was spot on with what Doctor Who represents.
I really like that reveal because I had no idea. I didn't know it was a trans actress or anything.
Yeah.
So
I wasn't sure either, but so it's cool to see it. And also that scene when they're in the spaceship and the panel comes down and divides both of them, and then he has to decide if he's going to Doctor Who. Yeah, exactly. We have a Star Wars connection there. So when that panel, that glass kind of screen between them, he has to decide to give her memories back, knowing that she's going to die. When people say with Star Wars, it's like poetry, it rhymes. That final episode, not final, but when Wilf and him are separated. So Wilf is behind the screen, and there's a bunch of radiations gonna come through. and he's knocking 4 times on the glass door, which is a recurring theme for the whole season. That when you hear 4 knocks, is when you're going to die. So he knows, oh crap! If I don't save him, then Wilf is going to die. I have to change positions, basically. And he does this great speech of why it's not his time, but he has to do it. So one of those, it's like poetry. It rhymes again with the glass door between them, and he has to decide then again to kill Donna at that point. So I love that connection. So very excited. And of course, the MIP leaves with that little kind of nugget. Oh, I'm gonna tell my boss. I can't remember the exact thing. And then of course the TARDIS, which looks great every time there's a regeneration. The TARDIS change. I love this TARDIS. So humongous, all the white columns, everything. So very excited to see the next 2 episodes.
I will say it's his boss, Neil Patrick Harris.
Maybe. A lot of I don't. Everyone's he's the toy maker, the galactic toy maker, or something. I guess from the original Doctor Who. I don't know that those over there, but apparently this is also a very important character that's returning. So
okay, and I did want to mention, like, not even being a fan, there were like 2 moments that had me like, it was when Donna like closes the gate and tells him like, "Oh, you go. I have to go help the doctor." I was like,
yeah,
yeah. And Donna's mom was like, "She called him the doctor." I was like, "She did."
Yeah, and like she said, doctor. I'm trying to remember. Wait, did they mention it? And then the mom remembers.
No, it really got a gasp when she said it. And the other part was when she supposedly dies, and suddenly it's like, "No, you gave her half the power to Rose." I was also like,
yeah, dude, I was tearing up. I was tearing up in that scene when it was happening, and I'm glad that she's back. All right, what between fandoms? Let me see what I watched Blue Beetle the other day. Finally,
ooh, you liked it?
I loved it.
It was very good.
It was a lot better. I went into it like, okay, here we go. Let me sit down and watch it. Enjoyed it tremendously. My daughter didn't stop laughing the whole movie.
Did you think you were gonna see a big action fight in El Morro ever?
No. As soon as it showed up, I
crazy.
was like, oh, that's El Morro. My wife, where is that Morro? Yeah, they're just destroying the crap out of it. I know it's CGI, but don't do that to El Morro. It was great. The trailers hadn't sold me on it. I wasn't too hyped. It was on Max. Okay, let's sit down and watch it as a family. We all enjoyed it from start to finish. Great movie. So hopefully we'll get to see more.
It ends with a Soda Stereo song, and that just had me.
All right, so I think we can leave it.
Have I watched anything this week? No, I watched Napoleon the other day. It was super weird.
Yeah, I heard that. It's kind of weird.
I liked it, but it was super weird. I'll just say that.
I've been watching. I keep watching Foundation. I'm halfway through the 2nd season.
Okay, I haven't kept up with it.
I'm really intrigued by this show. Like, I like it. I don't love it, but I want to go and watch more. I love everything that happens with the Cleons, with those 3 clones that they have. That's my favorite.
That concept is super cool.
It keeps going, and it's like, it's so weird, and I love it. It's the same person at 3 different stages in his life, all interacting at the same time with still different ways of seeing things. That's my favorite thing of the show. I got like 4 or 5 more episodes to go. The Monarch series I've been watching, there's 3 episodes in. It's interesting. I'm not, again, don't think this is Godzilla versus Kong every episode. So it's a different type of monster show, but it's entertaining.
But we have Scarif Cuddle podcast.
Scarif.
Saludos.
Oof. All right. So
are we done?
I think that's it. Again, it was going to be a short show today. Not a lot.
Hopefully, Mango gives an interview next week.
Right.
Yeah, this is my movie.
It would be great. Let me see if there's anything else. I don't know. I think we're good for today. Next, we're done. We're done. That's it. Thank you, everyone.
That's it, people. Bye.
Yeah. So next week we'll try, if you're able to finish Eye of Darkness. You want to call it? Let's say Eye of Darkness next week. No. All right. We'll talk during the week and try to figure it out. See where you are. It's a long book. It takes time.
Yeah. Okay. We'll talk about it.
All right, we'll try. If not, at some point. So just in case we're not here next week, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everyone. It's a Christmas season, so get all your decorations up and just be ready for it. We'll be back at some point. All right, so thank you guys. Till next week. Stay safe, be safe, and may the force be with you.
Bye.